how long it takes for us to actually go live.
Says
I think
we're
Can
we're
you
live.
live.
check? Because I don't have my phone on me.
I think we're live.
Okay, good. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being patient with the having to reschedule. This conversation was supposed to be in the end of September, but I had some things come up that we had to push it back till now. But we are discussing book 4 of A Drowned Kingdom. This could actually hurt people if you want to hit someone with it.
Yeah.
But per usual, I'm having a discussion with the author himself, P.L. Stuart. If you don't mind giving yourself a little spiel, because I never feel right doing it when the author's here.
Well, thanks so much, Alicia. Honored to be here. Thanks so much for hosting these. So honored that the three of you are interested in actually talking about my book. Yeah, I'm just so happy to be here. So sorry that we had to schedule because of what went on with all the natural disaster stuff essentially in your place. But I'm just happy you're okay and you're doing well. And
We're
it's
all good.
yeah. But also a pleasure to be here with you and Epic and Jen Jen. And yeah, just looking forward to hearing what you think about the book.
I'm just really happy that some of my predictions were the truth. I have to say that. I think I texted you, Jen. I'm like, yes, we were right.
You guys nailed a lot of predictions. All three of you nailed a lot of stuff. And I said I tried to keep it hidden, man. I tried to keep my poker face on and just like, oh yeah, well maybe, but no, you guys sussed it out, man. This is smart.
So okay, let me preface this by saying this is book 4, so there's going to be spoilers for like everything because you can't talk about book 4 in a ongoing series without having spoilers. So how did you decide to keep Othrin's brother alive but in the background? Because if you go back to Lord and King's preface, it was all there.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I have to give shout out to my lovely wife Deb, who comes with some brilliant ideas. And one day I was just writing, and I think we were in book 2, and she's like, "What if the brother didn't die? What if he was alive?" And I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, "Okay, well that would really change a lot of things." But I'm like, "But that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be amazing?"
It was
Especially
a call.
especially considering what he wanted to do with Atalantics and the fact that often rebelled against him. That would make for some pretty compelling stuff. So I'm like, okay, let's start rewriting some stuff and rejigging some things. And you know me, I said before I'm a big plotter, so everything was already set, right, for the most part. But I'm like, how am I going to fit this in? But I'm like, nope, the wife, she never steers me wrong, so I got to make this work. So if you remember back to the prologue of Lord and King, it was a pretty crazy prologue as you see Earthel trying to escape Atlantis in the middle of it being, destroyed by a volcano, an earthquake, and a tidal wave. Yeah, he survives. And as we see from Alliance Pride, he ends up hanging out after so he gets into a fishing boat with one of his knights and a fisherman and 3 sons. They manage to get away from the wreckage, but only Earthel and the fisherman survived, and his knight and the sons drown, and they're kind of adrift in the ocean for a while, and they get picked up by this other country's trading vessel, and then they end up being going to an island of another kingdom, and kind of hanging out there, and Earthel plays fisherman with the fisherman, learns how to be a fisherman, and but in the meantime, Earthel, I mean, he's the king of Atlantics. He always had this dream and this plan, and he's not going to let go of it. So he sends a bird to his father-in-law. His wife is dead now, drawn with the kingdom. But he sends a bird to Meg, the pirate king, who has aspirations to take over Sanavia. And he says, okay, well, who better to help me do that than my son-in-law? So he snatches Urto back from the island, and they start putting a plan together.
So I just want to say that I very humbly want to call out that I predicted that 100%.
He did.
I've always felt like in the beginning of A Drowned Kingdom there was so much tension that was brewing in with their relationship and like the circumstances they were living in and how things were developing. And even when the book first started, it was like Earthel and and it was the both of them together on Othron, like the both of them trying to figure out, like debating, having these arguments, talking about how they grew up and everything. So when like the kingdom like drowned, it would just felt like there was so much potential there that had just died off. But of course, we're reading like a grimdark story, so it's like whatever, right? But I always had it in mind that what, like if that could come up again, especially how Orthrun has gone to this other kingdom and has tried to adapt and everything, and he ended up doing what he rebelled against his brother for. But it's like under different circumstances now. But I always thought it would be interesting to see how they would interact after everything. So like it's a very welcome surprise when he showed up in the book.
Yeah, I'm happy you like that. It was a great idea, again, by my lovely wife, but it was a natural incorporation. When I started thinking about, just like you said, epic, hit the nail on the head. There was so much untapped potential there that I said, what would happen if he lived, and what would happen if he's now on the other side, right? Because aside from Earthel, we've been building this big Sanavian thing up from day one. The Sanavians, like the Viking-ish, part of the almost like akin to like a Scandinavian part of the continent. They were always planning to invade Eldia. They wanted it. They wanted those fertile lands and farmlands, and they wanted to take over. And the implying scheme, and Lysi's been kind of allying with them. They're trading slaves. There's been a lot of subplots going on. But eventually you knew one of the conflicts in the Drowned Kingdom series was going to be the Sanavians versus the Eltish. And sure enough now, Earthel, now named Latri, is at the head of the Sanavians, and he's coming for Othrin. And Othrin, at the end of Alliance Pride, Othrin's basically saying, "Man, I guess I'll have to kill him to save Eltnia." Right?
I love that chapter because before he comes to that, final thought, oh, I'm probably going to have to kill him, he was actually happy that he survived.
Yeah.
That's the kind of conflict, the kind of like twisted conflict that I like.
Yeah, and quickly I want to say, because I want to give everyone else a chance to chat. Like, you see Earthel, and you may not have realized when he hooked up with Rupa, and he said, I need to do this thing basically to give us but a chance to win. And she's like, I don't know, but if it does, and then you realize what that was. It's about him becoming a druid. And then you see the ceremony at the very end of the book. He gets his finger cut off. He gets, it's a pretty pagan, brutal ceremony. But you see now he's, what kind of power and abilities will he have now? He's already, a powerful guy, and now he's become a druid. And Othrin hates druids. On top of everything else, Othrin hates druids. And so
it doesn't help that he's got druid blood in him, which he wants to deny, but it's the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Othrin wants to deny his druid heritage. You saw the coven that when the druids show up, they're like, "Hey, you know what? You got druid blood in you, buddy. You may deny it all you want, but and if you want us to help you discover that, we could." But he just totally cusses them out and rejects them. But anyways, yeah, I'm glad you love the Earthel plot. Clearly, there's a huge confrontation coming.
Yes.
So
I'm not worried about Orthrun because I feel like Orthrun is going to. I feel like not necessarily forced upon him, but just as a situation of the way things are turning out right now, I feel like he's going to like develop some kind of abilities as well. Like he can already smell the witches. He can he's seeing like the pixies, like like he's communicating with his god like one-on-one, like this thing where time stops basically, and they have these conversations. So it's like I feel like Orthrun is going to develop some kind of magic of his own, which I'm very interested in to understand how that kind of magic system will work, like from Orthrun's POV, because so far we've only seen other people do it, and because we're in Orthrun's POV, we don't understand how they are doing it. But I'm interested to see how, because I know it's going to happen, so I'm interested to see how PL fleshes out this magic system for us to play with.
Oh, well, there'll be quite a few bigger reveals. If you thought there were big reveals in this book, just wait till a pack of wolves. But anyway, sorry, I let give everybody a
No,
chance.
go ahead. I just wanted to this is normal for us, as Jen knows, because we co-host a book club together. We talk about the end first.
Always.
I loved that Rupa, like, I think it's the last line of the book, she says, like, I'm scared of him now. And I'm just like, that's just in such a, like,
unnerve me.
way to end. Yes, exactly. It was just an interesting way to end everything.
Yeah, and the way they hooked up, like, she's called to this Earl's meeting at Meg's hall. She's got this kind of almost like a surrogate daughter relationship with Meg, even though she's just technically a pirate chieftain. She's not even a countess or anything. But she gets a lot of preferential treatment, and she's always felt very inadequate there. And she's there with her brother, her half brother, who's actually a lord, and she's always felt she should have his place. And in all that, she's hating being there with him. She just wants to get drunk. She just wants to screw, just go out and, hook up with a woman or a guy or whatever. And, Eartha comes in and just takes over the room, right? Takes over the room. But in all of this, like he comes in, he sits on Meg's throne, like he's the Don, he's like ordering people around. He's like, what do you, she's like, WTF? But she feels this attraction to him. And then next thing you know, Bullen's trying to, pose up and act out with him, and then he kills Bullen, her brother.
Mm-hmm.
But Rupert brutally, like, throttles him and bashes his head. Like, you know what I mean? And she's like, I didn't like my brother. I hated him, and I wanted his spot. But honor is honor, blood is blood. So I got to step up, and even though I'm going to be killed, right? And next thing you know, he's like, nope. How would you like to take his place? And then after all that, then Meg is like, actually, I don't want you to just take his place. I want you to be my heir. I want you to be the princess. I want you to inherit the whole of Scandinavia when I take it over. But the condition is you got to marry this guy. This guy you're already attracted to, and you're like kind of like size him up, like, yeah, I'd like to not
I'm
lose.
sure that was a hard
but she didn't want to. You saw, like, she didn't want to, like, just like, I don't want to be a puppet to this guy, right? As much as I'm attracted, but I don't want to just be. I'm a shield leader. I'm a pirate. I'm a badass myself. Like, and I don't want to be the boss. He's gonna have to be my consort, my 2IC. And Eartha's like, yeah. And when she finds out who he is, and she was feeling Othrin when she met Othrin. She was like kind of wanted to get with Othrin, and she sees that kind of, because they're brothers. She sees that similarity, and she's drawn to that. But on top of everything else, he brings out, like, that soft side in her when she realizes what he's dealt with, like losing all his people, seeing a whole kingdom drown, going to this island and being, like, humbled and being a fisherman, and then like, he's a changed guy in a lot of ways, right? But
he had to work for the first time in his life, basically.
Yeah. But she's drawn to him. They have this instant vibe, and after they all live in, they're knocking boots pretty quick, but at the same time, and she loves it, and they're very much, physically and emotionally, she's still worried because can he kill Othrin? Because that's the one thing she knows. If we're gonna conquer Eltnia, Othrin's gotta die. He's that guy. He's that wild card. He's that guy that, unless we get rid of him, as much as we would have all the odds in our favor, he's that guy that could turn everything. And I was like, yeah. But she's like, I don't know if I believe him.
It's still your brother. Even if you hate somebody, it's still your brother.
And if he ain't gonna do it, he's gotta go.
Yeah.
So that was, obviously that creates a lot of tension as well, right?
And I also like the juxtaposition of, like, Othrin's, like, anti any other type of religion. He seems to thrive on it. Like, he's like, I'll be a druid, I don't care. Like, he was ready for it, when Othrin's, like, the complete other side of the equation, where he's just, like, trying to be rigid and it's got to be this way, it's got to be this way, it's got to be this way.
Yeah, you saw Othrin when Uthlin and Apol told him and Lord King that basically, Eartha was just trying to change Atlantean society so that, because Eartha believed after meeting Dura, after learning from Dira that the Sanavians were really the forefathers of Atlantics, he wanted to change things. He wanted to recognize their heritage. He wanted to equalize, bring equality to all religions. He wanted the single god to be held on par with the Sanavian gods like Udin and Thur and Nurin, and he wanted to revolutionize society. But society wasn't ready for that, understandably, because he
Mhm.
went too fast, and he knows he went too fast. And of course, because him and Arthur already had issues, it was easy for Arthur to rebel against them because they already had issues, right? So, and Arthur knows he messed up that way, but still, he's still intent on bringing that change. He still thinks the Slaving God should have this prominence. And on top of that, he's thinking that the best way, like Arthur, is to be a conqueror, to
But
take over the continent.
but the thing is that like it wasn't like Othrin even rebelled against him. It was more like the people were like, no, like we don't accept this, and then they
Yeah.
they crowned Othrin their
Yeah.
champion, and Othrin
Yes.
stepped up to it. So
Yes.
it's like when it comes to when you're considering like the relationship between brothers, is kind of sad, like for Othron is not as open-minded, but he has shown that he would, like in the right circumstance and with the right conditions, he would listen to reason and he would change. So I feel like in that aspect, like especially when you're managing something that has so much heritage and so much culture, no matter
Yeah.
how bad it is, like you have to spoon feed. You have to like plan years in advance to enact that kind of change. You can't just radically change something that has been there for a long time. So I kind of think in that sense Othron is a better ruler and better like executor of like ruling people and like
Yeah.
like bringing change. Like he has to like figure it out, understand it, and then like kind of like let his society adapt to it at a kind of steady pace,
That's an
which
excellent point.
yeah.
That's an excellent point. And part of that may simply be that Arthur was the second son. He wasn't expected to rule. He thought he was getting a warlord. Arthur was born to be the king. So when you're born to be the king, you just think, sometimes you just think, I'm going to make these changes. People are going to have to follow along. That's it. But, Arthur's been the one that's always had to adapt. He's always had to think on his feet. He's always had to, like, figure out what am I going to do here? What am I going to do there? And, he never thought he'd be a king. He thought he was going to be a warlord. He thought he was going to be Urkel's right hand. But, you made some really excellent points there, Epic, that this rebellion was kind of thrust on Arthur, and they put him at the head of it. But he didn't really want to do it. And at the end of the day, Arthur didn't want to really kill him and clearly he didn't. He banished him, right? He banished him with all his peeps and let him leave, right? To set things up somewhere else. So clearly, as much as there's an animosity there, there's still love between them. They don't want to fight each other, but they've been pushed, it seems like, into this corner now, right? That
Fate has forced them to fight, to be on the opposite side of the coin.
yeah.
And is it also just how they were raised? Because, like, Othrin being the second son, no one really gave a shit, per se. So, like, and it's so interesting that Urthel is less rigid, because you would think Othrin would be, because he's the second kid and they didn't care what he did.
Yeah, but Urthel has all of the confidence of being that firstborn, that heir to the throne, that he's going to inherit the kingdom, and when his reward is law, right? So in his mind, well, I'm just going to do it, right? I don't have to ask. People often should be supporting me, right? I'm his lord, right? Yeah, he's my brother, but and on top of that, he is my brother, so he should be supporting me even doubly, right? Even though I may not be expected to support him. But there's even more going on there, and you're going to see that in Book 5, A Pack of Wolves. You're going to see that there's even so much more going on there that in their relationship. So
I feel like as the books are going on, I've not only come to like Othron, I'm starting to respect him. Like I like how he handled Barthol. I like how I like how he schemed. Like before, like that kind of outburst would just piss me off. Like what is
Yes.
this guy? Because it was more of it was just like impulsive, petulant even. But as he's grown older and everything, he has understood that aspect of himself, and he intentionally weaponized it, which is something that
yes,
I feel
yes.
like growing up, like there are things about yourself you can't change and maybe you even hate about yourself, but as you get older, these things are the things that amplify. Like it's the progression of that nuance in Arthur's development. Like I enjoyed it. Like I found myself laughing throughout that. I was like, this guy, that he got like 5,000 soldiers to come and like fight for like so brilliant,
Quickly.
you know. Yeah. And then Lacey was like, "You're so cunning," and he was just like, "Well, you're worse than me." And then they just moved on to another topic.
Yeah, it's I love that was one of I said that's one of my favorite scenes to write because Arthur basically takes chances with his life. He's willing to risk his own life. You know, Arthur. He knows that nothing is so important to him that he won't risk. If it's important to him, he'll risk his life to do it. Gambling that he's gonna win. And he's willing to take the consequence if he dies.
Yeah.
So think about this. Barthel is basically ready to be the king and Arthur's overlord. Now Barthel is mad. Barthel's mad. He's not a great ruler. He's got a lot of issues. And Arthur just runs circles around him, calls him out, cusses him out, makes him seem like and Arthur gambles that Barthel was weak and ineffectual, and he's gonna lie down and let me just basically roll all over him. Like what is Barthel to Arthur? Barthel was a kid that Arthur marched in disguise with Welly to save Barthel's kingdom. You know what I mean? Barthel was hiding and worried about his beard getting pulled out and had to hide in the jail while Arthur's fighting and battling and saving his kingdom, right? Yeah. Arthur is chosen as the warlord to lead this invasion of a bit. Like Arthur is a badass, right? Obviously he doesn't look at Barthel as being anything. But on top of that, Lacey, who now is poised to take over all of Elnia, Arthur even outmaneuvers her, right? Because you know she's outmaneuvered. Now Lacey's a master player. She's run the board, right? You know what I mean? Like she's run the board, but Arthur doesn't care. He's just like, yo, right? And on top of that, you see him suddenly really undermining Barthel beyond just what he did. Arthur was basically telling Senti, yo, you know what? Yeah, he gave you a prince. You think you got promoted because he made you Prince of Apithia? He's just setting you up to isolate you so you can't be part of the court because he fears you. And he knows, right? He doesn't want you anywhere near that court. You basically just got banished, essentially, right? So, you know, like Arthur did he just went to town in that. And that was one of my favorite scenes to write.
And then slept with his wife to be.
Yeah.
That was
slept with his wife.
That's the automatic, like, screw you.
And what could Barthel do? Barthel knew it. What could he do? Right? Arthur even went as far as to Barthel's like, where's my wife? I demand you bring her. Oh, you know, yeah, she was in a Pythia, but where the hell is she? And he kept her outside all the time. Arthur was dangerous, man. In that, I love that scene.
Yeah, I love Arthur's maturity and growth. I have a question for Jen. So, is Arthur and Lacey still your favorite romance? Because I have a new one now. Like I have a new one.
That's so hard because I feel like Lacey has gone down a few pegs. I'm like, okay, lady, let's calm down. And she gets married to some other guy after burying his child. I was like, ma'am, I thought he was your everything, and now you're just leaving. So Lacey has stepped down a little bit.
The boy needed a father, I guess. So
yeah,
but my favorite romance now is Ingersa and Nada. I love that sequence. Like I don't know if you guys imagined it the way I imagined it, but just like falling in love as they were, you know, just running through the battlefield and like I love. And then when they were dead bodies all around, and then they stood up. And then they took each other's backs and were like protecting each other. And then after that, they were just like, we're in love. And I liked how that played out. The idea of it where, in that life or death situation, you guys go through that. You witness like the strength of each other. You see how vicious you are. You see how the bravery, like you just see all these qualities that would take you 20 years to learn about someone. They learned everything they needed to learn about
in
each other.
0.25 seconds.
And in there, and just like, what are we waiting for? I enjoyed that.
And they got married, like 2 weeks later or something like that?
I had forgotten about
days
that.
later. It was days later. It wasn't
days.
It was just, I love the wedding scene too. It was very understated, but it was still powerful.
Well, thank you. Yeah, like I think that was one of my favorite battle scenes to write because, it was part of that whole thing about the Anib. Like everybody had heard, like I said in the last chat we had about Lord King, when the Anib finally showed up, when Ingersa and Adala show up, finally, and Reduka show up in Lord King, it's understated, right? They're powerful and they're elegant and they're smart and they're badass, but you only see bits and pieces. But now, you saw a bit of Reduka one-on-one. She took out the guy like nothing, right? But now you see Ingersa, who's been training under Thurl, the baddest warrior in the land. But Ingersa already has his natural talents. And you see Ingersa basically, almost single-handedly win that battle, right? Like they were getting beat down, and he's like, "No, do this, let's go, charge, right?" And I love it. And Epic said it like, yeah, like imagine in the middle of this battle, Nada and her father just charged down this hill, and the chariot would chop through, the ranks, and then and then Ingersa, and they see each other, and Ingersa make eye contact, and it's love, right? But they don't have to. They got to charge back in battle because Ingersa's like, if we don't charge back to battle, we're gonna lose this thing. And he's like, "Yep, let's go," and she's like, "Yep, let's go," and they charge back to the battle. And I think, yeah, like Epic said, it was like love across the battlefield. That was I thought it was really cool. Right, and one of my other favorite scenes to write was like Arthur had a lot of special scenes with surrogate kids in this book, and Hyrule I want to talk about too. But after the battle, when Arthur comes to Nada when she's in the garden with her father's body, she's really wise. Nada, she's really wise, and she's really a special person, and she's already talked to Ingersa about the fact that Ingersa is a prince, but he had to deal with the prejudice of the old guard in Atlantics. The same prejudice that Undala warned Othrin, you got to protect my son from, right? But Ingersa took it. He became this great general. He's proved himself. But at the same time, he never felt welcome there because of his skin. But she's like, but in this part of the world, that's a plus, that's a bonus. He's worshipped. He's revered as being an Arab, right? And you can't give him that, but I can. So, but don't feel guilty. You couldn't have done anything about it, right? Like he still loves you. He still respects you. But now, as my husband, as my king consort, he's going to be treated properly. You know what I mean? And Othrin's sad, but respects her and loves the fact that now English is finally going to be appreciated for who he is. And I loved writing that scene too, right? I thought that was I hope it was a powerful scene.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was a powerful scene. It was a powerful scene. And that scene that when they were charging into war, like even Orthron as reckless was trying to tell them to come back. I found that funny, but no, the love and the blood loss was too much.
Yeah. And Othrin had to deal with a lot in this book. And one of them, like I said, his surrogate relationships, his relationship with Hyrule, Hurt's daughter, the haughty princess, who's another badass character.
I want more on her.
More like Othrin.
I love her.
She's kind of reckless herself and kind of like, wants reputation, wants to be, and on top of all that, she's part of the Teus, this group of Carthaginians who actually want to be the overall rulers of Luncheon because of what happened. Right? Sorry, I'll pause for that question up there.
Louis kept close out of her. Silly people.
Yes. And there's nothing I think that's so compelling as a badass ladies, as a royal family conflict. But anyway,
You'll love this series. Just saying.
Oh well, thank you. But yeah, quickly back to Hyrule. That conversation with her and Othrin I thought was interesting because you forget sometimes over the course of the series that Othrin has all these complex relationships, all these complex things that have happened. He killed both of Hyrule's grandparents.
Yeah.
He ordered Sada killed, and he killed Hor the first day he landed in the Crimean single combat. Hyrule's grandparents. And while neither one of them were good people, there's still that thing like you look back and you say, okay, well, imagine the guy who killed your grandparents is your godfather. Right?
It's a complicated relationship.
It's a complicated relationship. And what she says to him is interesting. Like, he looks to her as a daughter, and what she says, it's not that they were good, or it's just that you never, as my godfather, you never talked about it. You never faced it. You never apologized. You never gave me anything other than like all I could do was hear from other people, right? You never talked about it to me, right? Why did you talk about it to me so that you can make me understand more about what happened, right? And you realize like, wow, I didn't think that was important. I didn't think that, you know what I mean? But she showed him something there, right? That, you know, that communication, right, between people you care about, even if something you don't think is important, you need to like if he had sat down and thought more about it, he'd be like, oh shit, you know what? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, maybe I should have said something. You know what I mean? I wouldn't change anything. And he was straight up. I would have still killed them both.
Because
Right?
he
And
wouldn't
she's
have been there.
yeah, it's like you wouldn't have been born if I didn't kill them both.
Yeah.
Right? You know what? Horror would have killed her. You know, you wouldn't, and well, his kid would have been lost, you wouldn't have been born. But at the same time, I get it, right? Still your grandparents, right? So that I felt was it. And, you know, here's to someone who's like often rational, postal, and you see, like, she's a badass warrior. Like, she vaulted the shield wall to kill Plaz, right? Like, she's, you know, she's pretty badass, right?
Yeah, like she's so badass. She's so badass.
Yeah, there's Salome. Yeah, her uncle, stepfather killing her dad. Yeah, and you know these complex relationships are all over. You know, and I want to quickly talk a bit about, if you guys don't mind, the coven and
Please
what
do,
you guys
it was
thought.
my favorite part.
So we open up the book after we deal with Erthel, and we know that Erthel's alive, and everything goes to Sanavi and Rupa and him. We open up the book with Othrin. You know, he's supposed to, you know, he's getting married to Salah soon, but he's burnt out. You know, he's burnt out over what's going on. Euthan isn't talking to him because Euthan's mad at him that April he thinks he got April killed. He just needs a holiday, man, and he doesn't really want to get married, but he's got to do it. So he's gonna take his time. He's gonna pick up Salah and Bodone. He's gonna go hang out with his best buddy Gladden for a while, just chill, drink some wine, you know, lime, rare. And of course, but no, no peaceful holiday for Othrin. Lysy shows up, right? And she says, well, you know that marriage arrangement you had with Salah where she's supposed to give up her, at least optically, her religion? And then remember I told you when I proposed to you that that's the one thing I couldn't do? Well, you made Salah do that, and guess what? The Covenant's going to kill her. Nolthi, Night Soul's mother, is going to kill your wife. So we got to go save her. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? And like, you know, when Lysy appears, trouble cannot be far behind, right? Trouble is never far away, right? So of course they leave and they go, and finally along the way, Hervey and Othrin end up being the one, Othrin and the ones going, but along the way, Lysy and Othrin finally give into this thing they've had for building up for 4 books, right? So, but I want to stop there quickly though and hear what you thought about all of that. The scene, about them getting busy finally, about the whole thing.
I felt bad for the or other witch that walked in on them. I was like, that's a
Well, for
sin.
Vima?
I was like, oh my god. But it just brought back, we've talked about it a little bit earlier. He's only attracted to like these very powerful in the traditional sense and the witch sense.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes out that he has Druid blood in him, that's not a surprise because he's only attracted to women that can do that. So
Yeah.
it was really interesting, and I was surprised how quickly it went into it. Not in a bad way, but I was like, because you build up on it so slowly, and then it was just like, bam! I was like, all right, we're here. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Champagne.
Literally.
Yeah, and they were messing around. They went to tell each other, right? And you know, Othrin had held her for so long. You know, he held her for so long. He held out through, you know, his relationship with Alias. He kissed Lysy, but he didn't like go the whole way. Managed to resist. And you know, he was alone for so long, and finally got engaged to Sally. You think, okay, well, you know what? I guess maybe he hold up, but no.
And the whole thing about like banging your soon-to-be wife's sister, I was just like, dude, really?
Come on, man.
Really?
That just started. That was his.
And then, come on, she can read people's minds. She knows you banged each other before you even tell her. Like, come on. She knows.
You have to wonder, does that add an element of, it's bad, it's forbidden, it's horrible, like, like,
The bad
just,
way.
Hey, hotel.
yeah, there's so much tied up in that, right?
Yes.
But also, I think often felt like this is something that he just couldn't stop, couldn't avoid. Like, they're two people who are toxic for each other, but they can't help that toxic attraction, right?
They'll never work as a couple, but they still have that attraction.
Yeah, and
They would kill each other.
but Othrin goes to the coven and gets a few surprises there, and one of the surprises is that he actually feels for the first time the elemental power. He feels that magic, but maybe the biggest surprise is that Othrin finds out that the coven of mages, led by Lysi and her idea, prayed to the single god to destroy Othrin.
Yeah.
That's pretty big news.
Yeah.
So what do y'all what do y'all think about that?
That
I
was
was
a twist.
surprised
I
that
wasn't
it
expecting
happened.
that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead,
No,
Jen.
you go for it.
No, go
I was
ahead.
just saying, I was not expecting that one at all. I tried to like guess things, and I'm like, that one came out of left field. I was like, did not see that coming. It hit me real hard. But no, I'm excited to see. I was excited about that because it kind of adds like a whole new layer to everything.
Yeah, like I understand why Othron is pissed.
Yeah.
I understand why Othron is pissed, but like alongside that, it was like, okay, like there was this whole build up. He's with like Lysa's sister, but then he's still like in love with Ndala, and then he's trying to convince himself that okay, he loved his first wife, but like he's gonna try and give everything to Siwa. And then the whole Lysi thing explodes, and like they finally like bang and everything, and like it's like what is going to happen? He's going to save. He's going to. So I was like, okay, that drama is too much for me. but then when he found out that she was praying like she prayed, and basically potentially got like Atlantics like destroyed and everything, and then I was like, oh, okay, this solves that drama issue, but like it brings a whole new thing. But I understand why Othron is pissed, because he must feel like very betrayed by her. And that wedge with that betrayal, like from Othron's perspective, I think that's it's like we're looking forward to this romance. Like if it happens, and then like they can never be together now because it's just like too much.
Yeah, Lysi even still like after he was recovering, she still wanted. She's like, Leafs, don't get married to Silas. Don't marry me. Like we can still make this worth it. And you could tell he was good. He was done. He was done.
Yeah.
He couldn't get past what happened, right? But on top of everything else, then the whole implication. Wait a minute. The angel saved me from my own God trying to destroy me. So who's evil? Who's good? Am I the evil one that everybody wants to kill me? Like, is the angel the evil one? Is the single like what? Like, he's so poor. Othron is so messed up, right? The poor guy, he can't catch a break.
And Lysi said something. Lysi said like the angel might need you more than you need him. Like I found that very interesting as well.
Yes, that's a good point. You're very observant there, my friend. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that went on in Othron's recovery. He learned. There was a lot of stuff that went on there, and amongst all those things, Othron learned, as he knew before, his sword is haunted, and he learned throughout the book that there's dead kings that inhabit the blade.
Sorry, something I predicted again. I just
Yes, you did. You did. There's dead kings that have the blade. We don't know which kings, but Tarlis. We find out that Tarlis basically lost her mage powers surrounding this whole thing about this blade and Othron, and like it's so like Othron is just the druids show up during the coven, and they find out that Lysi had actually sold Sala to the druids to save her as his slave.
I was so pissed.
But then double crossed them. Lysi just
so pissed.
When you see Lysi's schemes, you're like, oh, this woman is
over there.
devious. This woman is just devious. You just don't know what she's up to next, right?
Yeah.
So, but on top of everything else, Othron is forced to fight Nothi, Night Soul, the most feared the most feared entity in the world, essentially. He fights Nigel's mother and kills her. But for a moment, looks like he dies too.
He got
Right?
very close.
I'm not sure if you guys thought he was dead or you wondered if he was dead.
I did.
But that's good. I'm glad that I put that in your head. Because seriously, I don't exaggerate. Arthur's not safe. Like, nobody in my book is safe from death. Even Arthur as the main character, no one's safe, completely safe from
Yeah,
dying.
two things I have to ask you about. Actually, three things, right? Three things. I have
Watch
to
his face
ask you
for any
about
clues.
this. So first thing is I'm a little bit upset about how Utlin's death was kind of so unceremonious. Like he heard
Yeah.
someone else told Orthron about what, like, I was kind of like, yeah, I wanted to see how that would develop. Like, would he like all of a sudden dedicate himself to becoming this warrior because like he's lost everything? And I didn't like that at all. I was just like, like, he died. And Thurol, I want to see more of Thurol. Like Thurol's like role has kind of like been shrunk a little bit. Before it
He's
was like
so
the three of
interesting.
them, the four of them, like Othrun, like Utland and everything. I want to see more of Thurol, I have to say.
Well, those are all valid points. You're going to see a lot more thorough in
Yay!
Attack of Wolves for sure.
Yay!
And Uthlin, I very much wanted Uthlin's death to be understated in that there's an important chapter in Lion's Pride. It's that midway bridging point in terms of time jumps, when unfortunately Othrin isn't very nice. And when he realizes that the Othrin the younger is a child, he doesn't know that. And it's just a child saying, I want to marry my cousin, I'm in love with
I
my
think he
cousin.
was
And
like, I think you said he was 6 at the time or
I
something.
think so. That's
yeah, and because Euthan is gay and Euthan is the Othrin younger tutor, Othrin, Othrin, he blames Euthan. And they've already been fighting, but it's bad.
I
right?
wanted to punch him in that conversation. I was like, really?
Yeah, I was like, you
It's
asshole.
bad.
Yeah, I was like,
And Othrin basically tells Euthan, you know what? You got a choice. You can become a warlord and learn how to fight in Othrin's words like a man and prove yourself. And then if you serve me, when you're done, you can retire. Because now Euthan is dating Man, the Earl Chief of the Luncheon, the new Earl Chief. And you guys retire, go to Luncheon. You can't do your business in my kingdom. But you can go to Luncheon and have your man and blah blah. But I need you to be a warlord for me, and I need you to give me a certain amount of service. And you got to learn how to fight like a real warlord, right?
I think it was
prove
15 years.
Prove your manliness,
Yeah.
right? So, and Euthan's like, all right, I've been trained already, but all right, that's what you want. And you see in the battle in Apithia, Euthan fights well. He fights well.
Yeah.
And he's really, but at the same time, Euthan loses Man. He loses the one thing now that it was all the whole reason he did it so that eventually Man and I can retire and be together. And then he loses in battle.
Yeah.
Right? So Euthan has lost Apel, lost Man, has had to hide his sexuality, has done his best to counsel Othrin and be nothing but a supporter. And this, Trey loves Othrin's son like a nephew, just trying to train him. And what does Othrin do? And Othrin is always, always, always guilty of underappreciating the really important people in his life, like Alias, like Euthan.
Until they're gone.
Until they're gone. And you saw Othrin at the end break down. When he found out Euthan died, he was messed up, right? He was messed up. But he deserved that.
Yeah,
right?
And he still didn't learn. Like he's like, like with his son as well. Like, yeah.
That's gonna come to fight.
Yeah, Othron takes his time to learn lessons. He has to learn it in the most painful way possible.
Yeah, he has to learn it the hard way, right?
And he has to hurt other people that he cares about, that he supposedly thinks he's protecting.
Yeah, Othrin thinks he's doing the right thing. Now, Othrin, Othrin in the medieval context, we get it, right? It's not that we don't understand why he's saying, no, you got to marry his son, you got to marry a woman, you got to breed heirs. I need, you got to, you're the heir to the throne. You got, you can't just be with a man. But at the same time, Othrin also lives in a world where in elder society, it's more accepted. So if he's pushing for all these reforms, which he has pushed for some reforms, he should be pushing for that so that his son can, but no, he's stuck in his ways and he's scared about the elites and he just, and he separates Ethan from his son. And he makes Ethan, this kid, basically the ambassador. It's all just so he can keep him away from Arthur Younger. And then him and Glatton scheme to have Arthur Younger married off to the bard's daughter. So, it's Arthur, unfortunately, like you said, learned things the hard way. And, that is at a cost to the people that he claims to love. And like you said, want to protect. That's an excellent point.
Yeah, but then you have to understand Othron's perspective as well. Like only the younger kids would be accepted by the old guard because he's like pure.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like with when he mixes with like Glatton, it's even like more like
yeah, exactly.
So it's like it's like I can kind of get that like legacy perspective, but like it's a tough decision, and that's something I like with this book. It confronts a lot of brings a lot of tough decisions that aren't necessarily just white and black, and
it's more realistic.
Yeah, it's more like I can see this being a real issue that someone has to contend with, which is why we love like A Drowned Kingdom.
Oh, well, thank you. The author's covering some real stuff this book, and amongst everything else, he's always had this thing over his head. I'm a bastard. I'm not legitimate. I shouldn't be the right King Vistrom. He's got the issue, of course, with the Yenwalls line because technically he thinks they would be, but that is even thrown out the window because he learns that the angel actually visited Yenwal the Old, and Yenwal the Old is the same way that Othron was, has been visited by the angel, was told that he was going to be this great warlord as well, and Yenwal the Old only told his grandson, didn't tell anybody else. And now Othron figures, wow, like this angel, I'm not as special anymore. Not only has he deserted me, but he did this to my uncle, right? And then you have that moment because throughout the first part of the book, when he's recovering, he talks to Lacey about, I still want to be the king. I want to keep my legacy intact. I want to keep for the younger. He thought about, should I abdicate? Should I tell people? No, but I still want this. I still want to be that guy. I still want. And Lacey's like, listen, you stole the throne. You're a usurper. Embrace it. You made a power play. Embrace it. You're the man. So, and you know what? Eastchild's better off for it with you in charge. So do your thing. Be you, man. Do you. And Othron has this moment when he tells him in the middle of the battle, he's ready to stab the bard to keep that secret. Hey, Shay. He's ready to stab Yenwal the Bard to keep the secret of what's going on with the angel attack. That's a moment where he almost freaks out, right? He loses it, right? And almost kills Yenwal the Bard. And so it goes to show you how deep-seated all of his issues are. I mean, he restrains himself. Yeah.
There was a line during the war that I recognized. You were giving homage to like George R. Martin, but like the line where you were kind of like, and this is me paraphrasing it, but you were like the crazy fool thought he could end my reign in just one strike of it. I think it was Robert Baratheon said something very similar.
Yeah.
So I read it. I was just like, yo, I see that.
Yeah. You got it, brother. You got it. Yeah. No, kudos to you, man, for catching that. Paying homage to the great George R. Martin, all his books on my shelf. And Othron does some stuff in this book as well where you see he has evolved. He goes to Pythia and he sees nymphs and pixies, man. Like he's already seen the angel, he's seen all his visions, and you know what? There comes a point where he just embraces it. He's like, yo,
he goes with it.
You know what? I'm gonna go with this, right?
We wing at the queen.
Yeah, the wing, the nymph queen sitting on top of the king's palace in Pythia, and she winks and he's like, whatever. Hey, wait, you know what? Just go with it, right? He sees pixies. Othron, the nymph queen and seemingly gives him the battle strategy to go out and get these animals to charge at the back of the enemy lines. And when they do, he often sees the pixies pushing the animals and he's like, hey, you know what? If I win, it doesn't matter as long as I win, right? Like,
do the pixies have anything to do with like the Ancoli and anything? Because everybody, like a lot of the men in his family have seen that Ancoli before. So is it just
the pixies? The Pixies, as we know, Apithia, like you heard a lot about Apithia and the fact that that kingdom supposedly the original inhabitants were elves, and that they ruled that kingdom, and then
Yeah.
men came along, and that their gods they worshipped like the sprites and the elves, and the nymph queen was their god. So that's a unique kind of religion and set of gods that you see just kind of in Apithia, right? And Monas is tied to that in that they talk about the fact that the first green lady they believe like the protector kind of Apithia was the nymph queen, and that's kind of bequeathed through the mages of Apithia that they're responsible for protecting the realm. And Mona seems to make a choice in this book that she allows her brother and her nephew to be killed, and allows Othrin to essentially conquer Apithia to save Apithia, right?
She's so interesting. I hope there's more about her in future books because we got a little bit, but I still have a bunch of questions.
Yeah, what did you think about all that and about their romance? What did you think about Mona's, who she is? You first see her at the coven. She's kind of like sticking up for Othrin. She's being like very like in some ways objective. She's giving information, but she's also kind of she's sticking over. And then afterwards, of course, he was attracted to her, and then he's on campaign. He's been fighting with Sila, right? He leaves Sila home, where she should be coming as maid. She brings Viwa instead.
That's gonna kick him in the ass, by the way, because he doesn't realize how powerful she is, and the fact that she is his wife means she has more power than he thinks she does.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's gonna bite him later. I don't know when, but that's gonna bite him later.
So, and then Monas basically, allows for the conquest of Apithia, right?
Yeah.
Like cast spell in the water to make the people kind of, like whatever about the invasion, like does all these things, and of course in the end hooks up with Othrin and says basically, like I love you, blah blah, but I know we can't be together. But what I wanted from you was a kid.
And she automatically knew the minute she was pregnant. I was like, damn. All right.
Yay!
So what do you think about Monas and all of that stuff?
I feel like there's more there that you're hiding for future books, personally. I think at some point they're all going to get together, either against him or for him, because it's Lacey, Sila, Monas, and Undala. I don't know if she'll ever come back or not.
No.
But like they have all this power themselves. So it's like, what does he have that is so appealing to all these women that have all this power and are badasses in their own right?
I think they're all gonna end up as his allies. I feel like right now Peel is setting up like he's setting up for Bartho to get like overthrown, like with Harris and everything. Like I feel like Bartho is being set up as like a villain kind of character. Not villain, like it's not black and white like that, but as someone that is going to be taking over. Like Arthur has already planted. Sorry,
like be a puppet, basically.
Yeah,
he
basically.
is so mentally not there.
And like he has already planted that seed in Senti's head, right? Like Eld has nothing to lose because like he can't have kids anyway, and like him and Viwa, they're like doing their own thing. So it's and here is like with the whole ideology that like she should take over everything. I can kind of see that getting set up for the next book, and I think it's going to happen. Monis's role is what I think is going to be important. Is she going to be loyal to like her husband, or is it a situation where like she's going to be like a spy for Orthrun, like the same way that she basically let Orthrun take over Epithia? Is it going to be the same thing to and everything? And because I feel like we are coming towards like the end game right now, like like I feel like so many plot points are coming together. So like now, like Orthrun has most of Eltnir, like the entire south of Etnia from Israel, like most of it already. And the idea of the book, the prophecy, is that he's going to like rule all of Eltnia. So I can kind of see things like tying up, and I can kind of see all these like loose ends. And of course, when you're reading, you're trying to posit how things are going to go. but I kind of
I have
feel
12
stuck there.
pages of notes of like my own theories in my head while I was reading it. I'm like, I'm nuts now.
Yeah, those are amazing theories. And let's not forget, if Monis is true with her prophecy, the son that their daughter, she said it's a daughter, but we haven't seen the kid yet. The daughter that she says she's going to, basically pass off as Barthol's kid, but that's really Othran's, would be in line to rule Luncheon, right? And is Heris gonna stand for that, knowing that first of all, that's not even really, even though it's her godfather, that's not even really Barthol's kid, right?
Like
So like
she was gonna have green eyes, so it's like everybody's going to know.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it's gonna
The same thing
probably
with Undala's kid.
yeah, it's
When he
probably gonna
came
look
out
like
with the
Othran. So it's like
Yeah.
what is Here's gonna everybody knows that Othran slept with Monis. Everybody knows. So like is everybody just gonna go, okay, whatever? Have more of a park. Yeah, like
It's more like
what's
a coven because he slept with all of them at this point.
yeah, like what's gonna, and meanwhile he has a kid with Ndala. He doesn't know the gender. She's over there in on the other side of the channel. And what that kid is, that kid gonna succeed in Ndala one day? What's that kid's, and then like the thing is the kids, right? Othran's got 3 legitimate kids, 2 with Scylla, so they're part Elnish and part mage. Well, at least they have mage blood in them.
Yeah.
They're not mages, men can't be mages. And then you got Othran Younger, the only pure-blooded Atalantean from Othran and his Atalantean wife. You got, if this kid prophecy comes through with Monis, the future heir to the throne of Luncheon is really Othran's bastard, right?
So
And
that's 5 kids.
And you got, like I said, and like, yeah, and like you have Lucifer. So maybe one of the biggest things in the book, like, people, I had texts from people reading it. It's like, the kid's name is Lucifer, right?
Lucifer? Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay, that's not Bax. And I'm like, no.
I
No.
feel like that's also kind of like a hint. So it's like he said, like towards the end, Orthon was alluding that his kid with Undala is the black dragon because of the skin of the tone of the skin of the
That's what he
color of
thinks.
the skin, right?
Othran, yeah.
Yeah, and everything. But it's like Lucifer, like Lucifer, as in Lucifer, is also like known as the dragon. So it's like, is that the dragon? Like, I have my money on Lucifer being the dragon. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, things will get a whole lot more complicated because, of course, Lysi, thanks to Ingersa, which is another whole development we didn't touch it. Thanks to Ingersa, Lysi's heritage with the Anab is confirmed. Lysi, Bartho is essentially pushed by Bartho. Lysi is going to be High Queen of Middle Outlia. Now, Othran has not agreed. He's agreed to, like, how are we going to rest just action dragons? So we'll see.
No, there was a lion in this one, so that counts.
Lysi, Othran is holding out, but how long can he hold out from actually getting down and bending knee and swearing to Lysi? He's kind of done it in principle, but not really. And Hurt is kind of done it in principle, not really. But Bartho's pretty well, almost all have done it. And now Lysi's poised to be the High Queen, and Lucifer's her heir. So that would make Lucifer, if she succeeds Lysi, the High King and Othran's overlord. Everybody's overlord in Elfia, right, essentially. So that's an issue for a lot of reasons.
There's also another issue I want to bring up. I don't think I don't think like a lot of people have thought about yet, but that is like Siwa's Othron's daughter. Like, what if she ends up being a witch and like she gets like the red hair and everything? Like, how is like the old guard going to deal with her becoming a witch and embracing that aspect of her heritage? Because I'm sure that the coven would want to have her as part of it. I just like it's just what it is, you
Well,
know.
that's an excellent point. But you remember Arthur now did something really controversial after he got stabbed. He did some reflection, and even Glathan, who's normally like, is like, wait a minute. He's like, you know what? Sal almost got killed for this giving up her, optically giving up her mage rights. Nope, she's gonna be a mage. Doesn't matter. She's gonna be a mage. She's gonna be openly a mage. She's not gonna convert. And and Grace is like, you can't do this. And he's like, nope, I'm doing it. And you know what? We're gonna make sure that the old guard supports it. We got enough on them. We got enough leverage on them, and they're just gonna suck it up and deal with it, right? Because I'm not risking my wife again. For all I know, Lacey, now that she's the new Great Wicca, she might even still want to kill her sister if she gives up. Because Lacey didn't want to give it up for me. So yeah, so he's like, nope. So Othran made a big step there and a big political step in terms of it's a precedent set, and of course it would only be for him as the king. But Othran now is married to openly a mage.
But I feel like it's different. Like if it's like your foreign elfish queen, as opposed to like your daughter, like the princess of Atalanta or Israel. Now, I feel like there's that nuance is might cause problems.
Well, this is the thing, right? So right now, as it stands, Othran has 3 legitimate sons. Othran the younger is his heir. His 2 spare sons, Arklan and Adelan the Early, they are technically, as it stands now, next to line to the throne. So Othran the younger, then Arklan, then Early. Othran's son Lycifer, who Lyci has, he's not acknowledged as Othran's son. He's been claimed to be Kar's son, Lyci's cousin, who she married, right? And Lycifer is poised to be High King after Lyci, assuming Lyci becomes High Queen. Othran's daughter, supposed daughter who we haven't seen yet, if she's born, who would be like on paper Barthel's daughter, and could succeed to be Queen of Luncheon, unless Othran acknowledges her, which you can't see that because Barthel, that would totally shame Barthel, right? And cause a big succession issue. Will Othran ever acknowledge her as his? I don't know. She's going to be a Queen of Luncheon, but technically, that would make the complicated situation that if Barthel dies, she succeeds. She's Othran's bastard daughter, but she's his overlord as the Queen of Luncheon. And then you have Othran's son or daughter, whatever they are, Undala's kid, that would be the king or queen of the Anub, that it would be the most powerful ruler in the whole world. So he's got some very interesting kids, all 6 of them, in terms of his relationships, the politics, how it could all play out, right? So, but it would be interesting if Othran and Sila had a daughter. Like, now, she's had 2 sons with him. If they had a daughter, and that daughter became a mage, had red hair, what would happen? What would that be like? Because, like, Epic brought up the excellent point. It's one thing when, okay, you married your foreign princess, it's for an alliance, it's for this or for that. It's another thing if you, as a king, essentially the last Atalantean High Lord, you marry this foreign and you breed a mage, a heretic mage, right? Like, it's one thing that sounds mage, but Salah's not going to not let her daughter be a mage if they have one together.
Yeah.
Right? There's no way. And the Olgar would have to deal with that, right? Like, that would cause some major issues. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see.
Because a lot of the reasons they're fighting wasn't it that he wouldn't acknowledge Lycifer as his kid, and that's why they're fighting, and that's why she's left where.
Yeah, think about how amazing Salah is. Salah was willing to have Othran acknowledge the bastard son that he had with her sister as legitimate, because she thought it was so much more important that the kid know who his real father was, and that the truth be said, rather than continue the fact that basically Othran cheated on her with her sister. Now, that might also be a political move, because guess what? Othran having the son who is poised to be the High King of Middle Eltnia only brings more power to Eastrom. So, like, there's a lot of tangled webs going on here.
I feel like he doesn't give Sela enough credit because she is a mage of her own doing, and it's gonna bite him.
Yep.
Yeah. Sela is like Alias, but with a hell of a lot more power.
Hmm.
Quiet, strong, dependable.
She's moving behind closed doors.
Look what she did.
You
So
don't see
Arthur
it.
didn't know while he was sick. He thought Arthur the Younger, like Arthur had this thing, this really vain thing, like he didn't want Arthur the Younger to see him all sick and stabbed and blah blah. So he would only see him once in a while. And but meanwhile, secretly, Salah was bringing Arthur the Younger not only to see Arthur when Arthur was sleeping, like in the morning, but she'd bring him to the temple, like the Atalantean religion. So she was making sure that
She
this
didn't have
guy,
to.
this guy's going to be the future king. I'm going to raise him in the religion of his father because that's going to be his role as kind of like the head of the church. So that's the stuff that she did. Sorry, I'll let that question go.
Yeah, like basically you basically articulated my fumbling around, and yeah, he put it in better
Yeah.
way.
So yeah, I mean, there's so much going on, right?
I feel like he's discounting her because it's his wife, and
I
that's
don't
what you
think
should not be doing.
the thing about it is that I don't think he's discounting her. I just think he doesn't love her.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
it, because it's like he acknowledges all the time that she's valuable, she's ideal, and she's like the perfect, picture. She's like everything. But I just think he just doesn't love her, and there's only so much that he can give. I don't think it's
that's
actually a
fair.
thing of not appreciating her, because yeah, like if we look at like Orthron has to appreciate that, she's not like the jealous, she's not looking at, no, she's not trying to make like her son the heir to the throne. Like she wants Orthron to like acknowledge like his kid. Like she's been very accommodating and
Yeah,
everything. So yeah, like
and
I
she's
just
raised Othrin since he was like 5.
Yeah,
So
the younger.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's
yeah.
the only mother that he knows, even though she's not like biologically his mother.
Yep, yep. She's definitely the only mother he knows, and he looks at her as his mother. And yeah, it's I mean, but Arthur has that thing where he always undervalues and appreciate. Like Sally's staying right in front of his face. She's
Mhm.
beautiful. She's smart. She's kind. She's supportive. Blah blah. She's a mage. She's powerful. She has everything that on paper you think that he'd want, other than being perhaps Atalantean. But he does, like Epic says, he doesn't, like, at this point he doesn't love her the way he loved Alias, which in some ways is a good thing
Yeah,
because Alia was just basically like, okay, he loved her, but she was just
I feel like he treated her like a porcelain doll.
yeah, yeah. He doesn't lust and burn for her the way he did Lysy, this magnetic, toxic, but irresistible draw. He doesn't love her the way he loved Indala, which was actually a very romantic kind of courting, and also a very like respectful. Like he looked up to Indala. He looked up to her like oh my gosh, she's better than me. Like she's kind of out of my league, but and I didn't think she would be, but I kind of like, yeah, like I learned from her. I worship her as the person she is. He put her on a pedestal, right? So, and Modus was just like, that was just a hook. That was just an attraction. And more because he was pissed off with Sila and,
He just wanted to prove a point with her. Not
yeah.
saying that he wasn't attracted to her and all that, but
Yeah.
it was more to like say screw you to Bartho.
I have a question for Jen. Jen, in all of this, because I read your review and I loved it. And it was funny you're feeling sorry for hey Sochi. It's funny you're feeling sorry for Othrin. Who should Othrin be with? If he should be with anyone. Of all the women he's dealt with, Monas, Undala, Lysy, Sila, Allah is dead, so he can't. But who should he be with?
That's so hard. I like that's the like I want him to remain faithful to his current wife because I think that there is something there that we're just not privy to, and that it like kind of what Alicia is saying, it's gonna bite him in the ass if he doesn't just start appreciating her. I think I'm right with that because it's not appreciate. It's I'm still searching for the word. Like I had it too, and it flew out of my head. But yeah, I really just wish that he would be faithful to her, because I have a feeling that she's going to ultimately, like, she's Lacey's sister. So she's gonna have some kind of like crazy power that I think is just gonna come roaring out at some point. Because yeah, Lacey, unfortunately, yeah, like we said earlier, she's gone down a few pegs for me. But her sister, there's something there that I'm very curious. Um, yeah, I mean, all the women, when he gets together with them, I'm just like, oh, maybe, but I think he's getting around too much, and I don't know with Epic. I know that you said that it might be something to unionize them, but also I just have a feeling one of them is just going to be not happy.
Yeah.
um,
I see potential for like I see
yeah,
potential for um
respect. That was the word.
like I see potential to like end up with like Arthur being like ruler of everything, but
Hmm.
but it like very bad things would are gonna have to happen. So
Yeah.
Lacey would have to die, right? And then Viva is Lacey not Viva his wife, what's her name again?
Silent,
Sela.
Yeah,
Sila. Yeah.
yeah, so she's like she would be, I guess, like his son would be Lucifer would be the next in line,
Mm.
but but she still has like a claim to the throne, and then she gets that, and then like all of a sudden because of that, Orthron is like his the king consort right
Yeah.
now of
Yeah.
everything, but
Yeah.
it's still like but something that would be, I feel like if Lacey dies that will hurt everyone, would be hurt if Lacey dies, because she's such an interesting character, and she's like been there from the first book as well, and she's carried Hawthorne on her back for so long, like even this war that they won at the last page is only because she agreed to give him her soldiers. If there's anyone, and I don't want to use the word deserve, but I'm only using it because all the women in the book want him. But
Yeah.
if there's anyone that's going to end up with Orthron, that would make sense, it has to be Lacey,
Mm.
because like she's in book one, she was, without her they would have died, they would have never made it to the end of the book. In part two, like they would have never made it to the other side, to the kingdom, they wouldn't have won that war, like even saving her sister, that would not have happened. Like
Yeah.
she's been with Orthron like through everything, but then that divide between them, that lack of trust between them, I don't think it can
Yeah.
ever be bridged as well. So it's a conundrum. It is a very dramatic conundrum to contemplate.
If he can
No.
forgive her, I think Lacey would be, as much
Yeah,
as
They
but
it
go toe
betrayed
to
me, I
toe.
really kind of
given
still want it.
how twisted PL is, I feel like it would be a situation where, with her dying breath, Orchard would be like, "I forgive you," or something, like some twisted, messed up situation like that. But I'm
See,
just
I mean, you were getting close now. This is book 5 coming up, right? So let's get, if you don't mind, let's get some early predictions. Who's gonna die in the end,
Oh,
or who's gonna
Oh,
not make it till book 7?
this
I
hurts
honestly
me, but
don't
uh,
think
there's so
Hawthorne's
many.
gonna make it.
I don't think. Okay, so this is from left field. I don't think Glatton is going to make it to the end of the book.
I know that makes me
Oh,
so
I
sad.
want him to
I
make
don't
it.
think Glatton is going to make it.
I
I
know.
I think Arthur is going to lose at least one son. Like one of his kids are going to die. I think yeah, Arthur is going to be put in a situation where he has to betray his liege lords. Like he's gonna have to make a decision that is akin to betraying his liege lords. Um yeah, like so far
Mm.
that's what I think.
Ooh,
I
So you
think
think
okay.
Hurt's
I
gonna die, and that
who?
makes me like
Hurt?
hurt because he's my favorite,
Yep.
Ah,
and
I
I
didn't know
think
Hurt was
Yeah,
favorite.
anytime
Okay.
I
you like
think he's
someone,
gonna
they're
I think
all.
he's gonna go because but I don't want him to, but I think like to get closer to like Othram, people are gonna go from the outside in. So
Okay.
Oh, I have a prediction. I have a prediction.
Okay.
And to build off what Alicia said, I have a prediction that Ethel is the one that's going to kill Hurt. So it's going to be
Ooh.
a situation where his
Oh,
brother kills a brother that he's chosen just for the poetic.
oh, that's
Just
very
for the
poetic.
drama.
That's very poetic.
That's very
Okay.
Shakespearean.
Yeah, and that
Okay.
Arthur is going to take the threat of Senevia seriously.
That's okay. Okay. Jen, what do you got?
I think the biggest one that I have is I really think Othrin the Younger is the dragon that we speak of, and he's going to end up killing his dad because honestly, he's been betrayed a lot in this book, and he's got a lot
That's
of
very
anger
Macbeth.
that's like,
Oedipus.
Hmm.
Mhm.
That's wow. That's an
That was the
interesting
moment
one.
when I ended, I'm like, I don't know which kid it could be, but if I was going to put my money on someone, it would be you
Hmm.
because you have been definitely slighted in a lot of ways. Like, I understandable, Othrin Sr., he's doing it with the best of intentions in his mind, but I'm just like,
Hmm.
everybody is like, let's be progressive and go this way, and you're
Yeah.
literally being like, no. And we've already seen, and I'm really terrible with names, and we've already said it so many times, but how oh my god, him and his lover died.
Ethan. No.
Yeah.
Oh, Youthland. Youthland. Youthland's lover
Ethan
man
and
died.
man.
Yeah.
And then now he's got another guy, and if I remember correctly, I'm sorry, it's been like a month. I'm pretty
Applause
sure he
and
died
man.
too, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
have you not learned from this situation?
Yeah.
Like, come on,
Yeah.
man, you're just
Yeah.
going. I
The
understand
whole
why,
no,
but
you're right. You're right. The whole time Othrin wouldn't let Euthan be Euthan. He wouldn't let him have the love of his life in April. Then he gets April killed essentially in this crazy rescue mission. And then he says, okay, you can have man, but only after 10 years. You know, anything can happen. Man dies in battle. And then Euthan basically doesn't have much to live for. So Euthan, basically he's like, I'm going to go out and go like a warrior the way Othrin told me that I need to be. And he dies. So,
I'm not
yeah.
sure. I'm not sure if this counts as a
In my-
prediction. Do you think it's because Othrin Senior isn't happy, so he doesn't want anybody else to be?
Ooh.
That's interesting. It's funny that, yeah, what I really, like I said, going back to Jen's review and reading it, it's like Othrin he's had so much happen to him that you can feel sorry for him, actually, right? A lot of it's of his own making, it's self-inflicted. But
Yes.
when we look at some things that happen, you're like, is this guy going to be happy if he survives the end of the book? Is he even going to be happy? Is he even going to care about anything? Because his whole life has just been one lie after another. It's just been one issue after another. He's never had a chance to actually just be happy, right? And just have the woman he wants, have the life he wants. He has issues with all his kids. Half of them he can't acknowledge. He's got issues with his wife. He's had all these lovers. He's got this destiny that he is all screwed up now. He doesn't know if he still take it. He feels frustrated, but yet he's still conquering. He's still cute. And, as Epic points out, he is becoming on paper more powerful with every book. He's just growing, right? And what does that mean though, right? Like, what does that mean? He's essentially in the medieval context, middle aged now. He's closer to 40. And he's like, okay, well, what will his life be like by the end of the series? You know what I mean? Like, what will we have?
it's gonna be
You know what
dead
I
by
mean?
the end of the series.
That
Yes.
question is one of the reasons I keep reading. And I just have like, imagine if like Lycifer and like the younger are like Nymeria and like Isram have to go to war, and like Lycifer and like the younger fight, and the winner of the battle is now like the person that we identify as the dragon.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
I also think that
Like there's so many
Andala's
directions this
son
book can go.
isn't out yet though.
Yeah. Now we don't know what the Dallas child, what kind of child he has yet. You will find that out, in coming books. And we don't know of all of Othrin's kids who's gonna, if there's some level of betrayal. Like, even if the three trueborn ones stick together, will the other ones come for them? Who, like, there's a lot of issue. But book 5, A Pack of Wolves, which is coming out in the spring,
I'm so excited.
will give
love
you
that title.
some really. You think you had big reveals in Alliance Pride? You wait till Pack of Wolves. You're going to see
I'm so
a
excited.
lot because we are now past the midway point of the series.
That's crazy.
Epic asked me at some point, is 7 books enough to wrap it up? Well, you're going to get most of the major things wrapped up, right?
Yeah.
Um,
There's like Night Soul, there's Senavia, there's
The Purple
all
Prince.
the drama, there's like, every other place that hasn't been conquered. There's so much to. I don't know if 7 books would be enough. And I don't want it to feel, to be honest, I don't want it to feel rushed. If you
Yeah.
have to do an 8th, 9th book, like, we're here for it.
well, there's going to be a subsequent 7-book series after I write the prequels. You need to read the prequels to really understand a lot more of what really went on. And I think you're going to love the characters in those prequels. But that other 7-book series that follows John King Saga will wrap up the whole story, and that will come at some point after reading the prequels. And I think that will give you a much more holistic view. It won't be first person; you'll have many POVs.
Okay.
So it's going to be. But like I said, A Pack of Wolves is going to be that book where I think the wool is pulled off of a lot of stuff.
Shit's gonna hit the fan.
Yeah, I mean, Earthfield's Druid. Him and Rupert are planning to take over Eltnia. Othrin is, now he's the main warlord. There's all kind of machinations. Lysie's scheming to be High Queen of Eltnia, but she's allied with the Sanavians. Horus wants to take over Katlugi. All these things are set up for, a massive confrontation at some point. Someone's gonna come out on top in this kind of like, this game, right? Someone's gotta emerge the victor.
It's
And you can't necessarily
It's giving me very like War of the Roses vibes.
Yeah, you can't put your money on Othrin because we don't know Othrin's gonna make it,
No.
right? He's got a lot of enemies. He's got a lot of things going against him, and he's one guy. So but we'll see. But book 5, A Pack of Wolves. Get ready for some pain, some heartache. Get ready for some
We're gonna cry.
some action. Whose name
Yeah,
is Jake?
it wouldn't surprise me if there was a hidden child somewhere. Honestly, I'm gonna be real.
Peter Jackson for the movie, yeah. From your lips to God's ears, yeah. I would love that.
My last prediction is that the Purple Prince is what's in the sword. The one that he idolizes is in
Sure
the
Steel?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like,
Okay.
did the Purple Prince ever become king though?
No, the Purple Prince
Warlord.
died. The Purple Prince was the first prince. He was the heir to the throne, and he died. He died in battle. So he never inherited. His younger brother inherited.
But
So-
she was very specific when she said he was a king.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
that's
I don't think it's the Purple Prince, but that would have been my best guess.
Well-
Purple Prince was my guess before she specifically said it was a king.
Mhm. Well, the Purple Prince died with Sure Steel, fighting with Sure Steel. So we'll see what we're gonna see. We're gonna get a lot of
Come on.
a lot
I
of
want to read it
reveals.
like now.
We're gonna get a lot of reveals in the next book that I hope are going to maybe turn your world upside down.
Oh man.
Right?
I'm gonna need tissues. That's what I need to know.
I'm gonna send you. I'll send you a care
Four,
package
five.
of tissues.
Just remember, neither author nor any character in this series is safe. That's all I'm gonna say. No one is safe, and you gotta realize all these characters are putting themselves in these situations where they're inviting death, right? Author charges off into battle like no one's business. He doesn't think about his own safety, right? But everyone around him trying to protect him or fighting with him or against him is in danger. So, you got to think that, every book from here on in, there will be characters dying,
Oh no.
right? So, we'll see, but you guys made some amazing predictions. We'll see
even
how we'll see how close some of them came
And
to reality.
we haven't even seen Night Soul yet, so that's gonna come out. At some
I'm
point.
excited about that one.
Yeah, I think it's the
You
final
killed it.
boss.
You killed his mother, so he's gonna come after you.
I feel Night Soul is the final boss, or I don't know if it's kind of like a situation like the War of the Five Kings type situation. What if like everyone is fighting everyone, and then Niso comes and he's like the big bad guy, and everyone has to unite to like defeat him. That would
Hmm.
be
I would
interesting
like
as
that.
well. There's so many
Yeah.
I would like a
directions that
united
it can
front.
go. Sorry.
I like your. I would love a united front going against a common enemy. I think that would be wonderful. But I
Yeah.
just don't.
Well, I'm all about subversion of expectations. I'd like to think just like one of some of my idols, like George R. R. Martin, who I picture
Well, they're
first.
all gonna
So,
die.
hopefully,
And painful ways to make us cry.
but hopefully it'll be sad. Hopefully everything is satisfying and everything makes sense as the books go on. Like I said, we're past the halfway mark. People are gonna die, but we're almost on book 5, and I'd be honored if Alicia, if you would host again for book 5 and
Absolutely.
bring the game back together for book 5. And I can't wait to see what you think about it. A Pack of Wolves is going to be. It's a shorter book than A Lion's Pride. It's going to be around Cyber John Kingdom, but
How are you
that
gonna like tie everything up? There's so many loose ends. And how are you
this
gonna do it in like 3 books?
this book will be. There's a lot of action, and there's a lot of messed up stuff that happens in this book. That again, you're going to be probably shaking your head by the end of it. So but nothing is. Just remember, nothing is as what it seems. And but we do still have 3 more books. So A Pack of Wolves will be a crucial time point. But then the 5th book 6, and book 7 are still going to be nuts. So at least that's how I planned it.
I'm so excited.
So I'm just happy you've been enjoying it and that the 3 of you have been willing to read my books and talk about it. It's the honor. It's such an honor as an author to have 3 intellectual, just discerning readers, just fun people that I so respect to read my book and enjoy it. Especially for you, Jen, knowing that's not even really your thing, but that you've
She
been.
finished it before I did.
Oh wow!
Okay, so I like to do diamond painting, and so I have Siri read to me because I feel like that way I focus a little bit better. So if it hadn't been for the hurricane, I would have been like, all right, let's do this. I got names, I got places, let's go. And then like a month passed and I go, who is who? All I remember was with way too many people. There are kids everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this discussion kind of brought it back into the framework, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because where all those kids are and what they're doing will mean a lot as the series winds down into the last 3 books. All those kids are going to matter,
I'm
right?
Yeah.
So
I'm so excited.
Like I just want to say like just from the first book to like this book, the writing has improved so much.
Oh,
Like, and
yes.
I just want to shout that out. Like the writing has improved so much, and the style that you tell your story, it's like it's so much detail, so much granular detail that you're almost, it's almost like as chaotic as like the mind works, but like just it's trying to, I can get a sense it's trying to, chaos is trying to organize itself.
Yeah.
You
You
need
know.
to teach a writing class.
Yeah,
Teach
yeah.
it. I will take it.
The writing has really improved, and I have to say that because I'm having to like refer to a Drown Kingdom, on a project I'm working on, hint hint, and doing that, and then also reading this book at the same time. I'm just like, wow, like such a crazy improvement. And he does this, you do this thing as well where like you're telling the story, and then when something new is happening or when you're reintroducing a character, you kind of give like a little synopsis, just like a little you put it into it to give context, the full context, so that you can understand everything that's happening, at like the significance of everything, which is like it's a dedication on your part as a writer to carry your readers along within the first read, and I respect that. So just
thank you.
I can't wait to go back to book 1 and see the stuff you laid as we're reading on. I can't wait to go back and be like, he said that then and I didn't even pick it up.
Being an Easter egg for everything.
yeah, like a reread, I feel like my mind would just be like blown. It's like, wow, was he setting that up? Like, was this where he started setting that up? Like,
I'm just so honored, Epic. I mean, I'm so humbled. I bring tear to my eyes for what you're saying. I really strive for continuous improvement as an author, like all authors do. But I really think if you ever do a reread, if you get to the end of this series, you look back and see the foreshadowing of every single little step, because that's what I've done. I've tried to lay out, that. So you guys are really intelligent, and that's one of the reasons why you're able to guess about so many things that happen, make these foreshadowing. But I'd like to think that if you look closely and you really analyze the book, you can see all the little things laid out, right? As you get to every book, it's like, oh, I saw, okay, yeah. But it's something that you can only catch in a reread. I just want you guys to just enjoy the story for the sake of the story now, because I think, as Epic said in the last discussion, these other books now are becoming more like pure story, like because the setup and the build up and the seeding is mostly done. Now it's more about giving you those payoffs, those things that you're like, oh, I wonder where this is leading. Okay, now I see. Now I see, right?
The biggest person I'm worried about is Author the Younger, because of what Lacey said in the beginning of like, your child won't survive because of the bloodline or something along those lines. So, I'm paraphrasing, but and I'm just like, no, he's such a little cinnamon roll. I want nothing to happen to him. He's so
No,
sweet.
but I think that prophecy has already come through now, because I feel like she was talking about like Lysa's first miscarriage.
About Alias's first week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Alias,
Okay, that makes more
miscarriage.
sense. Okay.
So it's like, I think the younger has like but the younger could die. I predict Lysa
I hope
will
not,
kill
because
him.
I love.
I predict Lysa will kill him. Like,
How
Yeah.
terrible it would be if all of the kids died. I don't know. When you were asking for predictions, I was like, what's the worst thing that could happen? I'm like, literally everything that he's worked for just goes down the drain.
Yeah, and Arthur the Younger, he appears to be a really good guy. He appears to have all the makings of a good king. He appears to be kind of Arthur and light in a way that, but in a good way, right? He's brave. He's religious.
He's not as brash.
Yeah, he's not as brash. He's kinder. He's more empathetic. But he's still a brilliant warrior, and he's still, he seems to have those qualities. We're gonna see in the next book, in A Pack of Wolves, a lot more about Arthur the Younger's qualities, and would he make a good king? We're gonna see a lot more about, his characteristics, what he's thinking, what he's feeling. We're gonna see a lot more about, and see if he's the kind of ruler that would be the kind of successor to Othrin, that kind of improvement that you would want to see or not.
Because he's
Right?
paying attention to everything his father's doing, good and bad.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, like he was trained by he was trained
thorough. Yeah,
like by Utland, like by
thorough.
Thorough.
Yeah,
Then
yeah,
like he's watched he has like all the mentors, and
yeah, yeah.
just like how he handled himself in battle, how he stepped up, how even though he was mad at his father for separating him and his love, like he was still like respectful.
Yes.
And like he's very like he's so far, at least, he looks like he was made to rule, like
Yep.
like he's very princely.
Yes, he is. He's very. That's an excellent.
Yeah.
Arthur the Younger is extreme. Like Arthur himself describes him as the perfect prince. He is polite. He's chivalrous. He's religious. Arthur's only thing for him is that he's gay. That if for Arthur, the only fault with Arthur the Younger is that he's gay. So that in itself, will Arthur be able to overcome that? And will Arthur feel comfortable leaving his kingdom? Like if Arthur gets to the point where, let's say, he survives and he grows old and now he's ready to die, will he feel comfortable get to the Younger, knowing that the Younger is gay? Will he ever get over that?
No.
Right? Because Arthur keeps saying it doesn't matter, it's only political. But yeah, I don't buy it. Yeah, and will that drive a wedge at some point? If finally Arthur the Younger says it does, you know what? I want to openly be with Ethan. Cause a scandal, you know what I mean? Like I'm married to say he gets married to Yedwall the Bard's daughter, but he still wants to have this relationship, right? Like, how's that gonna work with Othrin being the way Othrin is, the elder, right? Like,
and to what Alicia said earlier about like happiness, like I feel like with Othrin, like Othrin chose like time and time again, he chooses responsibility over his own happiness. So he tries, because he's always trying to do what he thinks is right. So I feel
Yeah.
like he projects that
Yes.
onto everybody else. It's like, and he's expecting that of his son. He expected it of Utland as well. So it's like and it's something that's very characteristic of like human nature, to like protect yourself. And like, everyone is unconsciously pressuring everybody else around them to be like them.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, by existing with other people, that's what you're doing. So it's like, when you communicate and you have like strong emotions about people, you're usually just projecting yourself. So it's I think it was very like a very good observation by Alicia to like, to bring
I,
that.
I want to quickly, if you'll bear with me, I want to read you quickly this. I know we're winding down here, but this one little passage when at near after Ethan has been basically made the ambassador of Yaden and kind of like banished to separate from the Othran and from Othran the Younger, and Othran the Younger and Othran talks on page 582, and they're talking, and Othran the Younger says, "No one has need of a perfect God, Father," said my son, holding my gaze, "and no one has need of a perfect knight." And you remember that Othran has this, we didn't even talk about this, Othran has this conversation with Friddler. So supposed basically like the Pope, his Pope, right? And he's like, Othran, man, like, you got issues and stuff. And about, well, I love you, man. You always try to be good, but you fail, blah, blah. But it's like, you realize that, the gods, I think that the gods kind of like, they're more like jokers, and they're more like, they like to play pranks, they appreciate us as being flawed, blah blah. He's like, Arthur's like, that's like blasphemy. He's like, but the prelate's like, think about it, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a bit of echoing here when his son says, and no one has need the perfect knight, and Arthur says, you're a perfect knight. I snarled, and you fucking need to be. You're a perfect knight, you're a perfect prince, and you will be a perfect king. But I tell you plainly, often son of Othran, you will never be a perfect king if scandal haunts your reign and rumor dogs your steps. You'll never be a perfect king if the old guard believes you prefer handsome young men to pretty women. Don't you understand that? And then Othran the younger says, am I a perfect knight, father? Asked my son, and the lack of accusation in his tone broke my heart in every way except for one. And then this is the part I want to get to. I stood up teetering somewhat because I was slightly in my cups. I tenderly grasped the side of his face in my hand. You're my beloved son. You're perfect in every way. You will be a king, and not just any king. You shall be an Atisix. And Atisix does not acknowledge his imperfections publicly. He is not judged by lesser men, only by the single God, the true God. And the true God and I need you to marry and breed. Eastrom needs you to marry and breed a line of future kings and princes and princesses. And you can't do that with Atham. And I want to skip down to when he's this last line, like they talk about more. He says, because Arthur says, it's a shame that royal blood seldom allows for happiness. And Arthur says, happiness, that word again. Happiness is secondary when you're a king, I told him sternly, letting go of his face. And a king you will be. Be happy with that and let that suffice. So Epic is right. Othran sees it as duty.
Yeah.
He sees it as Othran the younger has to do his duty and sacrifice the man that he loves, because Othran sacrifices everything he wants to do for his duty, and that's a trait that he's passed on to Othran. Not a bad trait in itself, but still problematic, right?
Yeah. Could you highlight RM's like note, the one at 635, where he says, well, I said 635, that would be 935. Where he says royal families have to put the kingdom and the succession above all else.
Oh, there we
Like,
go.
this is legacy. Legacy is so important for royal families
Excellent point, RM.
and families of nobility as well. So it's not like a cut and dry case. Like, it's not like and I can kind of see Arthur's perspective, but at the same time, it's like, what are you going to do if he's in love with another man? Like, what are you going to do? So it's a very like I'm very interested to see how this plays out. And I feel like that, like what you just read now, might also be a foreshadowing that maybe Othrin is not the younger, is not so perfect, because he asked him perfect, like, so it's maybe we'll come to discover more about the younger in the next books, that makes us question. Hopefully he's not like Joffrey.
Please don't do that.
It's already written. We don't know yet.
Well, it's Pio
Please
we're
don't
talking.
do that.
It's Pio we're talking about, so you don't know what the hell he's gonna do.
Yeah. I can't wait for you to see what a pack of wolves has coming,
Yeah.
because, like I said, believe me, there's a lot of it. I think it's a fast moving book, but there's still enough detail. I hope there's a lot of detail that will have you looking at all kinds of divine right of kings, only answer with God. Yep, RM. Essentially, that is the concept of the Etasics, which was the Atalantean king. That was the title that they gave in, king of kings, and no other king above the king except God. It's that same divine right concept that I incorporated in my book. I gave it a title in my universe, and but that tradition is passed down now to the king of East Realm, and Othrin as the 8-6 is essentially the head of the church in some ways, like co-head of the church with the high prelate, but also he's this head rules by this divine right according to tradition, and that comes with a lot of issues, as we saw in the Coven, when the Coven said, listen, because of this divine right thing, you feel that only your people have custody of worshiping a god. How can you stop another religion from worshiping your god just because they don't worship him the way you think? But an Othrin's tradition is that no, the Atlanteans have custody, have carriage of the single god. They own him essentially, right? That only they can decide how he's supposed to be worshipped. And I was like, it's messed up, right? In a way, but this isn't dissimilar from real world religions, right? It isn't dissimilar from the way people think about religions. And at the end of the day, I didn't talk about a lot about religion in this, but you see this conflict with religion that continues in the Drowned Kingdom saga, in that, is Othrin going to deny, when he sees in front of his face, the 6 elemental glasses, their power that seems to be totally real? Is he going to deny seeing nymphs and sprites, the gods of Apithia, goddesses of Apithia that are real? Is he going to, he's seen the angel, but is that the be all and end all? He's seen all these other things too, right? And is he going to, he's had to compromise and rule a kingdom made up of people who worship different gods and goddesses, while still, kowtowing to his elite that only believe in one. What's he going to do? Is he going to continue to cling to these beliefs and his belief about his position in society, or is it all going to break down, right? So we'll see. Yes, that's an excellent point. Yeah, it's why we have to read history biography to understand fantasy series. Yeah, I know even at Noir, I'm a big history buff. I'm a huge student of history. I love history. I love history. I love biographies. I love studying rulers, kingship. That's all stuff that really fascinating, right? And the dynamics, the power dynamics, because that's right. Political intrigue and fantasy, like Game of Thrones, The Song of Ice and Fire, like that's like, I love that stuff, right?
Peak.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll never be George R. R. Martin, but I aspire. That's the kind of level, I want to get to, right? The January's of George R. R. Martins, the Stephen Ericksons, like the Joe Abercrombs. You want to get that level of political intrigue.
R. Scott Baker.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that amazing.
So that book up. You made me buy it, and I'm so scared to pick it.
Yeah, so I made a mistake with Alicia. So I told Alicia, you have to buy and read this book. And when she bought it, I thought about it again, and I was like, well, like there's this in the book, there's that in the book. Like
I'm nervous.
I need you to prepare yourself before you start reading.
I've only read book 1, but it's traumatic. It's like traumatic. even for me, like, and I love this stuff. I ate it up. I loved it. Like, he's probably one of my favorite authors ever when I'm done reading series, but it is like it's dark in a different way. Like A Song of Ice is dark, but this is twisted. It's
twisted in the most toxic. Like, you just want to just. It's not even. It's just like, what? Like, it's like and anyway, this is not an R. Scott Baker thing, but like
Well, I
not an
heard
R.
it's like
Scott
it
Baker
because he's
discussion,
very
but
anti-religion. I don't know if
sorry.
that's the truth. I heard that he was very anti-religion, so I don't know if that's the truth or
Um,
not.
I would not necessarily say anti-religion. I just feel like it's a very strong commentary on religion. And
Okay.
if you read like three of the books, like the first part of the series, it's very he took a lot of inspiration from the Bible, a lot of
Okay.
inspiration from the Bible, and you start to like it's the kind of thing you read the book and you start not questioning the Bible, but like you start like looking at it differently.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very it's not but not in a way that if you're a Christian you're a Christian, like it's not like
Yeah.
that, but it's just his interpretation of it's so
I
toxic,
love
man.
questioning
It's so
things, so
toxic.
It's there's parts of the book that will make you feel almost like it's slimy. That's the best. Like it's so
gross.
like
Yeah.
it's so messed up, but yet you're so like intrigued and you're so like excited about like it's you start to wonder like why am I so interested in this
Yes.
Like,
in
what
the
is wrong
sick
with
part?
me? Because I'm interested in this.
Yeah, like especially when it comes to like relationships, like the sexual relationships, all that. Like you'd be like starting to like why is this part like just anyways, you have to read it. You
Yeah,
have to
Okay,
read
yeah.
we'll
it.
have to have a
When you read
conversation
book
when I
two,
get to it.
when you read book two and you read book three, like trust me, like you think like book one, you think you know Kellis. In book three, you're just like you just give up. But
Wow.
yeah,
That is a masterful depiction of manipulation and
oh
like I don't know what to say. Like but I love characters like that. I love flawed, messed up characters that you don't know if you like. I'm sure often, like you said, there's times author has completely pissed you off, right? You're like,
There's a
fuck
couple
this
times where
guy.
I wanted to throw the book. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. But then at the same time, you read something, it's like, like, well, hopefully that's the effect, right? But then sometimes you read, it's like, I'm rooting for this guy. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And like
No,
that's
I'm 100% team author now. Like I don't like
really, yeah.
I've come to actually I've gone from like not liking him to okay, I kind of like him to be like, okay, this guy is actually cool. Now I actually respect him. Like I respect him. Now he's just like an interesting character. Like I he's not like, he's still like messed up and he still does stuff that annoys you, but in kind of a way that is kind of like it's kind of like he's not perfect, but you love him in his imperfection.
Yeah, and that's all I want to write is a realistic character, and that's the biggest compliment that I could receive is that Autrin isn't someone who you necessarily like all the time, but he's someone that you understand and someone you can respect why he's the way he is, and even feel empathy towards him, and ask yourself. The biggest thing I want you to get, like I said, I know we talked for a while. I know everybody's getting tired. Jen's getting tired,
We've
but
been trying to end this. We've been trying
yeah,
to end this discussion
yeah.
now for
Like
like
a 20
40
minutes.
minutes.
But I quickly, I quickly want to say, I hope that especially if you do a reread, you go through the series, you ask yourself at every section where author is confronted with all the issues that the multiplicity of issues. What would you do if you were him, right? And if you did it, do you think it would turn out as well as how he did it? Because some things he does right? Some things he does right. So, but the main thing is he's in such difficult situations. What do you do if that was your life? How would you live it? Right?
I would have died
I,
very early
I
on.
would
I
have
never
died
would have
book
made
one.
it.
you know,
I would have
and,
needed
and
to run at some point.
and just to comment on that, I like how you like you create like these situations where there doesn't feel to be like um uh any any like solution, and then when you present a solution, it's not an easy solution.
Yeah.
It's a difficult, like even if like it's a solution out of the box, it's a difficult one. Like I like that it's the solutions never feel quite convenient. And just another thing, sorry, I keep saying one more thing, but
You're
I just
good.
remembered something randomly now. I love how like you went on like two or three paragraphs just talking about the pearl of Orthon and his Orthon like fighting Tarlis, like, oh, we were outnumbered, like look at what they have, they have resources, like they could be getting supplies from the back and everything. And after Arthur had analyzed everything, the next slide was, let's prepare for battle. I was just like, yes, I like Arthur. Like,
Yeah.
you can't do wrong.
Arthur has a lot of faults, but
Arthur was like,
bravery is not one of them. Arthur will fight. Day, night, doesn't matter. He'll take you on. That's one thing that he is brave. If he's nothing else, he is brave. And look at he won 2 wars he was supposed to lose. Yeah, he had magical help and this and that, but also because of his tactics and the way he fought. And you saw he's still badass. He's still badass on the field. He can still throw down.
He's good with one part of his brain, not other ones.
Yeah, I mean he's Arthur has like a cunning. He's not wise, but he has cunning.
Yeah.
And he's not the best fighter on the field, but he's good. And he's not the best strategist, but he's pretty good. And he's got that, part of it is he's got that moxie, right? He's got that it factor that, if you walk in like you're gonna win or you can outsmart everybody, well, you know what? People get intimidated. People think Arthur is completely badass. Yeah. Like this guy's built a reputation that he's unstoppable. Right? We all see his flaws and his issues, but from the outside, people go, wait a minute, look at this guy. Right? Look at all the stuff he's doing. Like he's just completely badass, right? So, I hope that's one of the things you've enjoyed. And I hope you enjoyed the battle scenes, especially quickly in the last book that, were like those are pretty, I hope they were pretty intense. Right?
Yeah.
So that's, But anyways, like I said, thank you so much for chatting with me for almost 2 hours about this.
We always end up going almost 2 hours, it seems like.
It's so good, though.
I know.
Well, thank you. I'm so happy to chat to you guys. You guys are awesome. I hope to meet you guys all in person one day. But get ready for book 5. Buckle your seats.
We have to wait till the spring, and it's just I wish I had it like in the mail to me today so I could continue.
Yeah. By the way, I like RM. Like I feel like I love all his commentary. Like you should come for all my live streams, man.
Liz is the best.
RM's put in some amazing comments, and medieval history is my thing, right? Medieval literature and medieval history, and I hope that you see that come out. It's a kind of like a love story to all that, the values and the heroism and the crazy battle scenes and the blood and the sadness of war and the uselessness in some ways and the politics that goes into like, why can't people just, get along, right? But that's not the way the world works, right? There's always someone who wants power.
Yeah.
So, but
closing this conversation for now. Not forever, for now. Thank you for everybody in the live chat. Thank you for everybody watching on the replay. And let me know if your team replay in the comments. Thank you to all my co-hosts for letting me ramble for 2 hours. And of course, thank you to PL.
Thank you so much, guys. And hopefully, like I said, we'll come back for book 5. And hope you enjoy Pack of Wolves.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.